everybody. Gosh, it's nice and warm, isn't it? Hope you're all there sweltering, but cool. You know, maybe you've got a fan, maybe you've got a nice cool G&T on the side, who knows? But we're all here for a little while just to chill out and just take a moment. So, of course, tile number 571 today. And, oh, what to do? There's so many, isn't there, when you look back? We could do grids, we could do designs, we could do flowers. So I'm going to sort of, I don't know, just something I came up with and see how it goes. I've got a white tile and I've actually inked it with yellow and then blue over the top. So a little bit of spray. I do quite like the pink stuff. That's exactly what it's called, the pink stuff. And it's like a, I don't know, something you can pick up for cleaning desks and things like that. And I've spritzed that on it and let it dry. And look, it gives this sort of wonderful kind of bleach sort of appearance. It's one of my go-tos at the minute. So that's what we're going to go with. And pencil, pen, Tortillon, all the rest. I have got watercolours with me today, so I thought we'd try that for a little while. We've not done that for a bit, have we? So let's go for it, shall we? First things first then. Pencil, here we go. Are we ready? Okay. So I'm going to start sort of kind of centrally, and I'm going to put myself a little oval in. Now notice, left-handed, my oval's going to go this way. If yours goes, well, let me do it right, weird, that way, that feels really weird, that's absolutely fine. Please don't think it's going to have any impact on your final image. I'm going to go up a little bit. Let's get rid of that bit there. All right, so I'm sort of in the middle, and my oval shape's not too small there. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay, so let's have a look. It's kind of about middle. Yeah, let's go in a little bit so you can see it. 1 second. There you are. And if that kind of thing for a size, because I know Lynn's there. There you go. It's about 1 inch, look, 2.5 centimetres, 25 mil, about. But it doesn't matter if yours is different. It's what it's all about, isn't it? And okay, I'm going to bring, let's have a look, a little oval inside that one. Still in pencil, not worried about that yet. Okay, got that going on. Yeah. And then underneath it, I'm going to bring another oval so it kind of looks like it's sitting underneath. Like that. Okay. Sort of is, isn't it? Sitting underneath there. Bit going on. Okay, you always change shapes. See, pencil, it's amazing. And there, look, I'll bring that back in. And then I could bring my little rubber in, look. Just neaten that up. So you've got something that looks a bit like that. Okay. So, next little bit. I've got this now. You can see that my tile is sort of facing me. So I'm working on this little bit here. Got a bit of a centre line going. Let's put one in there. It's always useful to have. And here I'm going to come in with quite a large kind of curve shape there. Same on this side. So it forms sort of a kind of a large petal shape, I would say there. All right. So far, so good. So let's have a look at the top as well now. We're not going to do the same thing with a point, but it's going to kind of start out the same way. Like so. Then it's going to come round and be a little bit flatter on the top like that. Okay. So we've got that going. Now here, I want to come up with, I'm going to kind of put a centre line just so we can see where it's going. And I'm going to come above the centre line. Does that make sense? Centre line, so we've got construction. Above, because I'm going to create that kind of a shape. Let's do the same on this side, or something similar anyway, like that. So it sort of folds down. Let's go out a bit there. And then here I can come back in. And here, so it sort of starts a similar place. I'm going to come back in. There you go. Looks a bit weird. And then the bit we've got left in here, it's sort of going to come from behind that one. So imagine it's going to sort of sit there like that. So let's do the same here, like so. It's going to sit behind and it's going to come in and go there. Okay, so see how that sort of works its way, and that's going to sort of come in here, see? Okay, let's put another little one in here. All right. So let's move to pen for a minute. I want to come back to that middle bit. And I'm going to come in with, to start here, I'm going to put a double line, a little bit of a curve on it, like that. And on the top, it's going to have like a little bobble shape. So let's do a few of those. I'm going to put lines in first and I'll put bobble shapes on after. Let's do one here this side. And they're all going to be sort of different sizes. You see that those on the left are curving left, those on the right are curving more to the right. I'm going to go even longer with that one. I don't want them the same size. Let's put one in there. And let's get a little one in there. And then come around, look, and put these little bobbles on the top. They don't all have to be the same. Let's do that shape. And looking in between here, I'm just going to gently kind of rub out some of those lines because I want to see what I'm doing there. Okay, I'm going to put them back in. Just the bits I can see, look. And then I'm going to fill those bits in with ink. So you can see that, you know, you've got those little shapes coming round and then a little bit of ink on the inside, like that. That's working well there, just putting that in. So I've seen some of the cat pictures from Friday, looks brilliant, and I know that there's been a dog picture as well, it looks amazing. So we will have to have a look at doing our family pets at some point, won't we, and get something in there. I'm going to put this sort of curve back in as well. You know that oval we did first? So there it is around the top. And then here, joining in there, you see? So it looks like they're definitely coming out of that space there. Okay. So let's have a look at this little oval here. I'm going to fill it. I'm going to put some little bubbles in there, starting with as large as I can get at the front there, and then I'm going to go round with little dots. So it got a bit of a shape going on there. So far, so good. Okay, so let's draw this one in then. So I'm going to put my curves in, and then I'm going to come in with a bit of a shape there. All right. And starting sort of middle-ish, curve that way, and I'm going to fill that in like that. And then if I do a little line on both sides, and then same sort of thing. So if I do my thicker sort of shapes first, so I'm probably going to get like a couple of those in, leaving enough of a gap. You see they're curving that way. And then on this side, we're going to curve that way. I'm not going to get my brush pen out for those. I'm going to leave it. It's not a huge sort of fill in, so that's okay. All right, we've got that shape. Okay, ready for the next bit? Okay, so I'm going to come in with this shape here. I'm going to draw it in, like so. Draw all of them in actually. So, you know, you might find that your shape changes a little bit, doesn't matter. You know, the pencil lines are there as a guide, aren't they? So. And then here, I'm actually going to have that coming over the front. You know, as we drew the other one first, well, I did draw those lines in as well, so. And then, let's put this one in, a bit of a wave at the top there. And these ones, I'm going to have them sort of coming down a little bit more, so we've got that shape. I'm going to get rid of the pencil lines there now, just to keep it clean and tidy as I'm going. Sometimes if you've got pencil in there, they're great as guidelines, but they can actually confuse things if you've got too many going on. So let's keep it clean as we're going, all right. Okay. There. So one there. And there. Let's get rid of those. Okay, so we've got this really quite an unusual shape going on there. So let's start with this one again. And I'm going to come in so I can just see that line. And I'm going to put myself like a little petal shape in the middle there like that. Yeah. And because I've got this one directly sort of opposite, I can do the same there. I say the same, they're not exact, but they come in on. Okay. So let's have a look at the others. I'm going to come in pencil for a minute, because if I was to do this, let's just do it straight there. Put that in. Let me just do it with pencil. We're going to change it in a minute. You see, it looks a bit weird because this is curved, and this isn't. So ideally, we want to try and copy a little bit of what's going on here. So let's have a look at it. So we've got quite a curve there and a part one there. So we can sort of follow that. See, it's going to the points, look. So it's got a bit of a curve on it. All right. This one, look, it's going that way, so that's going to be more that way. See, that's going to be less. See how it sort of works its way around? So this one, look, aiming to the point. Let's do that one as well. It's that. You see how it's sort of, so that's going to be a bit thinner. So it follows the shape slightly of what's already going on there. And once I'm happy with that, you know, have a look at it, see what you think. You don't have to stick with it, you know, but it's always easier, I think, to draw something first and then go in and make any amendments if you feel that you need to. So we've got those in. Okay, so I am going to put that centre line in. I'm going to put a little loop on the top. So let's do that on all of them first. So here, look, follow the kind of the curved line that you put in with the pencil. Just makes life easier that you've got that in place. And it's going to give you that shape that we want. All right. Forgetting this one, look. And around there. Okay. So then I can come in and fill in. Let's do this one first because we can see the whole thing. I'm going to fill it in. Let's go a bit bigger, look. If I can. Oh, you know, sometimes my fingers don't seem to want to move it. Little loops. Little loops, you see? You can do them individually, or you can do them like I am. And you can kind of create a bit of a flow going. All right. And then any gaps. Come in and put a little bit of ink in there. So let's do that with this one so we get another practice of one that's a little bit straighter. So see the loops. Now if you want to do it individual, look, one at a time, but you'll kind of get into the flow of them. Okay, so let's have a look at these ones. See, this one's not too bad because it's still got a bit of a line going on, so let's put that in. Same on this side. Again, just fill any gaps we've got with ink. It doesn't matter which ones you do first, it's just, you know, the kind of the straighter they are, the easier it is to follow. So by the time you've got this in hand and you know what you're doing, those slight curve are going to be no problem at all. See that curve? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to do the same thing, look. Fill in the space, but following that curve. Like that. Okay. Looks good, doesn't it? Like that. So here, I can't see a massive amount of it, so I'm going to sort of work my way around as best I can. Of course, you can come in and do this in pencil. You can draw the whole thing and then just pick out the bits you want. Let's have a little look at that. There you go. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these lines. Just be careful because there's a lot of ink on there now. And you want to make sure that that's dry because you've been filling things in before you get carried away rubbing things out. Okay, got that going on. So I'm going to carefully draw a line around the shapes I've got there. Not too big. Now I know that some of you might have drawn this a little bit smaller. And I know that's the case sometimes because I don't necessarily give you sizes. So please don't worry. If there's something you can't quite get in, it doesn't matter. You can leave bits out. It's your picture, your design. Okay, so I'm just gonna do the bit I can there, you see, following the shape. Take your time with this bit because if you rush it a bit too much, sometimes you can lose the shape. You know, and you want to kind of keep that possible. Keep it close. But work it round. So, here we go. And in and lock. Okay. So we've got that going on. So again, you don't have to do every single step that I'm doing because it depends how big your petals are. But I did draw them bigger for a reason. So let's come in, look, and I'm going to do like little pop bubbles down the side. See, look at that. Let's go down the other side. Notice I started at the top. I'm working my way down because the top bit is going to be the main bit that you see. If it's not level here, it doesn't matter. Put a little loop on there as well. See, just to finish it. Or put your loop on first. And then come down with your bumps. Keep them small. We don't want to go huge with these. Same down the other side. Look, starting from the top again. Coming down back. Now here, look, it's going to start there. Remember that you've got a curved shape to follow there. So you've still got to follow that petal design, or that shape. That's working its way around there. A little bit showing there, maybe. And the next one. Look we go. So it's been rather quiet here today, apart from Dobby moaning, because we've told him he's got to start packing his stuff away. So he's having a bit of a whinge about that. Of course, Tommy's on holiday this week, so that's not so good. And Alice and John are at the other place, sorting cables out and, you know, bits and pieces. You know, the bits that you sort of go on in the background before you can move anything in. They're doing that. And then there's Sarah and me today. Here, I'm working on, what am I working on? New pattern pieces for Mackenzie Clothes. They're summer outfits. So I'm just finalising those, and Sarah's getting ready for Helen's show on Saturday, because of course she's on Hobby Maker. And then we're both sort of between us working on everything that we need for Sewing Street on Sunday. So busy weekend, this one. But let's all go. It's great though. It's nice to be busy, isn't it? Okay. So let's have a look sort of around the bottom area now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some swirls. Like so. So what are you all up to today? Are you working? Are you sat at home in the garden? Are you gardening? Gosh. Finn does our gardening. Anything we put down, he takes up. Apart from weeds. He moves bricks around the building. So, you know, we've got like bits of gravel. He moves that. Thinks that's fun. Yeah. My mum brought me some little plants in pots. He takes the moss out of them. Brings it indoors, of course. Searches for snails. You notice here, look, I've gone quite sort of solid and then I'm easing my way off as it works its way up. So it's almost like they're cluttered at the bottom here, and then suddenly they've got like the go-ahead that they can move around a bit. So they're taking flight almost. And they're within the confines of the petal there. They're getting a bit smaller, look. And I'm not trying to sort of completely make them look the same. Okay, let's move to the next one. And same sort of thing. So it all starts quite cluttered and all together. It's quite nice as well if you want to do these in a different colour. You could do that. You don't have to keep them all in black. And of course, if you wanted to do all this in pencil and then colour it in so you didn't have the black lines, you could do that. That looks nice. We've not done much of that, have we? Maybe I should do a tile where we do that and, you know, just use pencil and then colour it without the black pen. Have I ever done one like that? I think I've done a couple, haven't I? I've done a few with coloured pens and such. It's just nice to sort of switch it up a bit and change things now and again. The same sort of thing going on in here. So that sort of just wandered in. Yeah, so we're getting there, look. We're getting there. Oh, Jackie, yeah, just chilling. It's nice to do that, isn't it? Just have a bit of a moment. Okay. Oh, wedding invites, Lynn. Oh. Oh, so we've all got plans. That's good. I think it's important to have plans. They don't all have to necessarily be clean the house, do they? Or, you know, get the washing done. But, oh, Wendy. I know Finley does that. He's been cut. He does look like a, you know, like, he is a cockapoo, but he looks more poodle now he's been cut. He's got such skinny little legs and you can see his eyes. Oh, actually, both of them have had a bit of a groom. I'll have to put a picture on so you can have a look at them. Okay. It is better, I think, certainly this time of day, isn't it, to be sort of indoors or in the shade, because it does get really hot and we don't realise that, you know, you can, if you're not careful, you can get a bit of sunburn. You don't want that, do you? Just be safe out there. Oh, I know, Vicky, I know. You know, I took a picture of a new product for Sewing Street. What would it be? Sunday night in my kitchen, and I've not seen my table look so tidy. But of course, everything behind the camera was utter chaos. But in front of the camera, it all looked like home was nice and relaxed and all organised, and it's truly not. Oh, Janet sounds nice. I've not heard of that museum before. Oh, yeah, cleaning now. It's overrated, isn't it? It just comes back again. You just get more dust. What's the point of that? I'm going to add a few bits in there. Well, we do go around with the mop. Of course we do. And I do need to get the feather duster out, though, I think. You know, all the spiders as well outside that sort of hide and sleep in the crevices, you know, around the UPVC in the windows. Okay, look at that. Okay, so let's have a look. Leslie does, doesn't he? He's still just as, I don't know, full of teeth though, isn't he? Vicky, I can never see my dining table, honestly. It's got a sewing machine on it. Although I do have a craft room upstairs, you know, with the sewing and things. Right, let me just show you this, look. It's a line and a line with a point. But I feel that if I take my sewing upstairs, you know, I'm sort of like upstairs out the way, and John's sat downstairs, and we never sort of have a conversation. I'm going to do a little one, see there, look. So I kind of feel that I need to. And then, of course, the ironing board and everything's downstairs. And when you've got to press something, you know, you don't want to be running up and downstairs. I don't really have room upstairs for an ironing board. Just adding a few of these around in places. All right. So I'm not trying to sort of, again, make it match or anything like that. I just want to put some in. See, just like little pointed shapes. Let's bring that out. And in. There we go. Okay. Chris, pretty much, yeah, you know, that's what a dining table is. It's a place for crafting. It's a place where you put everything that you know you might need at some point, but you don't need it right now. And then it's also the place that when you think, oh, I did need that thing and it's on my dining table, it's then full of other stuff that you thought you might need and you haven't had chance to get anything moved. So you lose it. All right, let's have a little curve with a little bobble on the end. Look, I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to put a few of them in. Okay. Let's see. Gosh, there's a lot of twins, Joanne. They do say it does run in the family, doesn't it? So we've not got twins at all in my family. Gosh. Okay, so again, I'm not putting a massive amount of those in, just a few to sort of go round. Yeah. Okay. So let's hold it. I'm going to bring in, oh, it'd help if I'd got a paintbrush, wouldn't it? I'm still going to bring in some watercolour pencils. And I might have to dash round the other side of the room to get a paintbrush. So let's have a look. See, I've got a bit of sight of greens going on there, so I think I'm going to bring a bit of blue in. Let's have a look. For sure, let's have a look. And a bit of sort of a goldeny yellow, maybe. And what else do I have? A bit of green. A bit of a green. Yeah. So let's have a look. Going to come in a bit. So I'm going to start with this kind of blue colour. And I'm going to put some around that top edge. Now this is almost like working with my regular pencil and Tortillon. Only instead of shading with a Tortillon, we're going to use a bit of water. A bit in there, look. Then I'm going to add a little bit, sort of there. So, you know, if it's something you think, I don't really want to colour, I'm not really colouring here, am I? I'm sort of just applying a bit of colour like I would usually do. Okay, like so. I'm going to add a touch of blue in there. I'm not pressing on too hard because the intention is if I put a bit of yellow in as well, it'll give me a little bit of green when it mixes. Just do it lightly. Okay. So let's bring that yellow in, and I'm going to come in this middle bit here, between them. So I'll put a bit in there as well. See on the top, just to bring them out. And then I'm going to come on the tips of those flowers there. Now I've got a water-based ink underneath, so I'm expecting that to move a little bit as well. But because all the colours are very much the same, I'm hoping it's going to sort of blend in together. That's the plan anyway. And of course with this you could always go back over and draw over it, or you could go back in with your regular pencils or another layer of watercolour. Works quite nicely. So a little bit of the green then. I'm going to bring this in. Oh, I said I was going to put a bit of yellow on some of those leaves as well, didn't I? Well, a little bit of that. And a little bit in there, I think, just on those. And of course you could bring your Tortillon in. You see, your pencil and Tortillon and going over the top afterwards as well. So you've got options. I'm going to bring a little bit in. You know, on some of the stems I can kind of see they're large enough to do something with. And let's have a look. A little bit. You know where you've got petals overlapping. I'm going to put a bit of that in there. See, I've done it there. A little bit there. Okay, let's have a look at that. I'm going to go see if I can get a paintbrush rather than the big one I've got here. Yes, here we go. Number 8. So I'm not going to use much water. You know, if it's dripping, it's too much. If it just sort of wets your hand, it's enough. I'm going to start with this bit where I put this blue in. So what I want to do is just nice and gently kind of start it off. See, it doesn't need much. Let's have a little look at that. See? And then same on this side. So what I'm sort of doing, I'm only sort of dabbing it a little bit. I just want it to kind of phase out. Oh, Maureen, I know. I keep saying, I'd love to be organised. I'd love to be ahead of everything and, you know, be able to have a day off, but it just doesn't happen. There's always something else that happens, always. But, you know, life's busy and that's good, isn't it? It's good, it keeps me out of trouble for a little bit. See, with this, I'm kind of sort of swirling it and just sort of moving it around in terms of, it's almost like softening it with the Tortillon, isn't it? Letting the water do the job instead. So I'm going to do these leaves whilst I've got still a bit of water and a bit of blue. I'm going to mix the two together. So again, it's going to have a little bit of an impact with what's going on because of the background. Right, and I can feel like it's not moving now, so my brush is drying up a bit too much. So let's get a bit more water on it. See, but look, always look back of my hand, making sure that it's not too sort of wet and I can control it. You see how you work those two together? Janet, completely agree there. But do you know what? I'd rather be creative and, you know, sit and have those wonderful drawings around me and those bits of craft. You know, sometimes my drawings might not be so wonderful, but I've had such a great time doing them. It doesn't matter, does it? As long as you're happy. You know, if you were sat in a house where it was completely pristine and you didn't do any crafting at all and you just sat there and thought, right, what now? It's so clean. You'd be bored. No time at all, wouldn't you? And that's not what you want. Okay, fresh water. So I'm going to come back in there. See, I've got a bit of green going on. The idea is that you don't want to sort of fill in the whole of this shape. You just want to sort of let the water do the job. So I'm just sort of blocking in and going in with that bit of green there. See now, the yellow, and sort of smoothing it out, but pushing it out a bit more water, look. So I'm not filling the whole thing, I'm sort of working that and then clean water. And where it starts to form a bit of a line, if I come in with the clean water, it's going to sort of blend in. So it's not a set line. See there, just sort of work it, and it goes from sort of high pigment into, let's go in a little bit more there, look. See the high pigment into like clean water, and it just sort of works its way in. Pencils tend to need a little bit of a hand to do that, other than watercolour paints will do it naturally because it'll just drop in. But because this is kind of on the paper, you have to sometimes give it a bit of a hand. But other than that, see, look, let's fill that. But before I get any further, clean my water and just put cold water, of course it's cold, a little bit of clean water there. You see, and it just works its in. Okay. So I say you can always go back and do another layer, or you can go back in and use your pencil, which I think we will in a minute because it's drying very quickly. So there you go, a bit in there. It's got a bit of colour on it, you see. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's not too bad at all. So I'm going to come back in with my pencil. I'll use my 2B. It's mostly dry under there. And what I want to do, I want to sort of accentuate a few bits. Now I could do this with a black pen or a pencil as well, but we'll see how it goes. So underneath that bit there, let's get my Tortillon and soften that off. You've got to make sure though that your watercolour's dry. Okay, that's under there. Let's go out a little bit. Oh, maybe too much. And same this side, look, a little bit there. Okay. Yeah. Soften it out. And what I do is I want to come round, just make sure it's dry enough. I want to come round those little bumps there, a little bit weird, you're sort of zigzagging as you go through them. Just be careful because you know you might still have wet cardstock. So I'm just taking it nice and steady. I am going around those pieces. See, that was a bit wet there. But and into that one. Okay. Sort of work it in around, so I've got that going on. Again, Tortillon, just ever so gently. Soften it out. Okay. So just sort of, it's a bit wet there, so don't force it, leave it to do its thing. Okay. So let's bring a little bit of my regular pencils in now. I'm going to bring a bit of black in. And I'm going to sort of, just on this sort of bottom edge, so not all the way up, look, the bottom edge, work around some of those little bubbles, like so. So, same sort of thing, so maybe 3 or 4. Just work your way up. And just have a look here, like same again. And then just sort of follow it round. And here we go. As I say, just be careful if it's still a bit wet. Just, you know, be patient. Have a sip of your gin tonic or your pina colada. Dobby's more of a sambuca. And then here, look, where we put that first bit, I'm going to come back in with my black pencil. Okay. And then I'm going to bring a bit of purple in. So let's have a look. I'm going to go with decisions. Yeah, I'm going to use the purple gem. And you see where this one's underneath this one? I'm going to add a little bit of purple there, look. Sort of giving it a little bit of shadow. Same on this one. And then here, look, this petal, remember, came over that one. So here, I'm going to put a little bit inside there. And on that side, although that kind of hides it, so that's fine. And then here, a little bit in there. A little bit in there. Okay. And it's just sort of to change it up a bit, where we've got the yellow going on here. I'm going to come in with just a touch of red. So I'm sort of flicking between. I've got a bit of watercolour here. Oh, shall I use that? Oh, no, I'll use my regular. Once sharply. Oh, let's have a look. What have I got? Yeah, my light red. I'm going to flick a bit in. So it gives it that little bit of warmth on the edge, you see? Oh, Karen, are you enjoying it? That's nice. We should all, you know, I know it gets a little bit muggy and we all get a bit tired and warm, but, you know, you've got to sort of take it as it comes. Soon enough it'll be raining. You know? So across the top here, this one, it doesn't really have a point, so put a little bit of it in, like so. Keep it light. There you go, see? Of course, you know, now I can push that in because, of course, the watercolour underneath's dry. It's take a bit longer to colour this, wouldn't it, if we didn't have that watercolour over it. Okay, see little bits in there. Let's have a little look at this. Okay, so just want to come in. You see where we've got that little stripe there? So I've got my white gel pen. You can use chalk for this as well if you want to. And I'm going to come in and put myself a line, a little highlight through the middle. Let's go in a little bit so you can see that. Here we go. You see there? And I think looking at it, I'm going to come back in with that watercolour green. Let's bring a little bit more colour underneath there. I'm not going to watercolour that or anything like that. I'm just going to sort of follow that around just to give it a little bit of something. So, okay. Oh, hi Debbie, lovely to hear from you. The move is going okay, yeah. So they're over there today finishing cabling and things. But we're hoping to move. Some of the things are going to be moved next week, but next weekend, which is a bank holiday weekend, isn't it? On that Saturday, we are going to be moving that Saturday. So, absolutely. All right. I think I know I've signed it, but I just want to come in and just really fine. Make sure I can sort of see those bits. Do you know what would look really good on these little bits in the middle? A little bit of glitter. So if you've got the glitter, you could sprinkle a little bit on there. Give it a bit of sparkle. But there you go. There's today's tropical flower. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to give this one a go. Put a bit of colour in it or not. It's entirely up to you. And maybe add a few more. Or maybe add some stems and go a little bit bigger onto your A4 sketchpad pages and things. But other than that, just enjoy it. Just chill out. Enjoy things for what they are. And I'll catch you all back here on Friday. So have a good one, everybody. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.